Good morning. Good morning. It's new every morning. I am your host, Tim Koger, and I'm back. Here we are, Thursday, December 11th, 2025. And I am excited to be here with you this morning. I hope we have some morning words with us that are able to get up at 7:30, get their life organized by 7:30, be somewhere where they can listen to this live at 7:30, which is now. It is another great day to be alive, as all of them are, in my opinion, and I hope you agree. Overnight, we had some snow here in central West Virginia. Overnight, it feels like winter. Good morning, Tom. Nice to have you along. We got a little bit of snow. I don't know if it's going to last. A lot of times, snow this time of year, snow comes and it warms up. And good morning, Sue. Good morning, Deborah. We have a crew to along together. I don't know if I'm guessing maybe there's a 2-hour delay here in central West Virginia, but I haven't heard anything because I've been too busy prepping, getting ready for this wonderful podcast. I put some stuff together. I was out late last night, my version of late, my version of late, not some people's version of late. And so I didn't get a chance to do any prep work yesterday, so I had to do it all this morning, which means I was up early this morning to get ready for this. Scanning the world for stories. That's what I was doing, scanning the world for stories. And so I've come up with a few things that I think are interesting. Hope you think they're interesting too. Once again, I will tell you that I am still looking for recommendations as far as what you would like to hear in this. I think there are probably going to be some changes coming. I figured so, Deborah, thanks. I'm going to be making some changes as I'm adjusting to my audience. I want to grow this audience, and therefore I want to meet the needs of the audience. And so I'm thinking about gearing more toward the Christian aspect of my life and telling some stories and doing some study Bible, although I am by no means an expert on Bible study. I could try to turn the complex into something simple to understand. And so, I'm thinking about doing that. I still like these stories. But I need to grow this audience if I'm going to continue to do this on a daily basis. I probably will always continue to do this. Always is a long time, but I have no plans on stopping doing lives, but I may not do them daily like I am now. We shall see. Time will tell. This is podcast number 38. Good morning, Janet. So I have been doing this for 38 days, not days in a row. I take the weekends off, as you know, but 38. Wow, it's surprising when I see that number. But I see it every morning because I put it on my notes every morning. So podcast number 38, let's get started. In a massive blow to wasteful government spending and animal cruelty, Congress has just passed funding for the Department of Defense. And in that, there was a painful thing for experiments on dogs and cats. And that has been is being eliminated. The House passed the bill 312 to 112. I'd like to know the 112 people that voted against this, but anyway. And now it's heading to the Senate. President Trump, the White House has already said that he supports it and will sign it. And they've just been doing some cruel things to animals in the sake of progress, I guess. I don't know. I don't know any details about this. If you want to learn those, this is not a detail podcast. This is a let you know about it podcast. So anyway, there's a group called White Coat Waste, which is actually a taxpayer-funded watch group on funding. So actually, this policy, this awful policy is going away not because it's an awful policy. It's because it's an expensive policy. Go figure that. Anyway, moving on, teens. Let's talk about social media and chat and stuff for teens. A study by Pew Research says that 1 in 5 teens say they are on TikTok and YouTube almost constantly. Well, that's 20% of U.S. teens are almost constantly on either TikTok or YouTube, or possibly something else. Now, they are also starting to get on like the chat stuff, chat bots. I talk about it strangely because I don't know a lot about it. But I know there's Chat GPT and Character AI. You know, I know there's a couple popular ones, and they're starting to get more and more attention in that area. The survey said that 2/3 are using chat bots, including 3 in 10 that are doing it daily. So 30% of those teens are using those chat bots. And I'll tell you, I think there's some really good thing about chat bots. I think there's some really concerning things about them. So the idea that those young minds are using them, you know, hopefully they're using them correctly. Now, this is interesting because they're using a variety of platforms, but you will never guess the one they use the most. I had no trouble guessing it. It's YouTube. It's being used by nearly all teens. Roughly 9 in 10 teens say they use YouTube daily. YouTube. Now, I knew that older people used YouTube, but it's neat to see, because I think YouTube is a good platform, as you probably know if you've been on here very long, because people are looking at it. Not only my age people or middle-aged people or whatever, but also the teens are looking at it. Now, they may not be looking at the content that I'm looking at. I can believe that. But they are still looking at it. So anyway, yeah, next was like TikTok and Instagram. Like 50-60% of the kids are looking at those. And Snapchat was third, or that'd be fourth, like in the 50s. So anyway, that's what they're doing. We know they're surfing the internet, and that's a lot of the stuff they're looking at. Next story, in 2022, dated myself there, a teenage girl with a previously incurable cancer has been deemed cancer-free, thanks to a novel treatment developed by scientists at London University College. Now, I'm going to talk about this. I'm not versed in all this stuff, but I'm going to give you some of the details. There's lots of details out there. But 3 years later, Elisa is still free of T-cell acute leukemia, a rare and aggressive blood cancer, okay? Now, 8 other children and 2 adults have now received treatment with promising results. They are using a technology. I'm going to try to explain this as I understand it, okay? So I took a lot of jargon that I didn't understand, and I kind of took it out to make it more simple and more understandable for me, maybe for you. So they're using a technology called base editing, which was invented in 2016 to pinpoint and change the molecular structure of just one of the 4 fundamental units of DNA. So one of the 4 units of DNA, they're adjusting the molecular structure. Okay, in a clinical trial, scientists used this to alter healthy donor T cells. So donor T cells were used, and they could alter them so that they would go in and destroy the cancerous T cells. Okay? Now, if the therapy succeeds, and it appears that it's very promising, patients can, and it has succeeded for Elisa and hopefully for some more, then after that works, then from there they get bone marrow transplants to replenish their immune system. So it brings down their immune system some. But a lot of promising things. Anytime you hear that we have someone cancer-free that used to be not curable, I think that's pretty good stuff. At least from my experience, it is. Now, I have one more story, and I don't know if you guys like this story. I loved it, so I'm going to tell you about it. Let me introduce you to Oscar Wilkins, okay? Now, by mistake, I think he's like 9 years old. I don't know if I even caught that, 9 or 10 years old. By mistake, he dressed up as Elvis Elvis instead of an elf in a school Christmas nativity scene. Now, when he came home, Oscar's sister gave us a lot of the information. She said that neither he nor the school was able to communicate the elf element to his family. So they got the Elvis element, but not the elf element. So the boy simply told them he was being cast as Elvis. So of course, any good family members, they went out and started trying to find a costume, for Elvis, a Graceland star, like all that stuff. And they started searching Graceland and Elvis, and and they didn't really realize that there was a mistake until he came on stage. So, but hardly letting this era, because he didn't understand. He embraced his starring role and found the whole thing hilarious once he figured it out. Now, his older sister said that the audience couldn't help but fall in love with the mistake that had happened. Oscar, of course, he embraced the starring role and found the whole thing hilarious. His sister Jade said, "It was so funny. A week before, they had all met in costume for dress rehearsal, but didn't tell us that anything was wrong. So the school knew how he was coming out. I mean, they knew, but they didn't tell the family. So the family didn't know." So Jade went on to say, "We only found out the mistake when we were watching the show and they all walked out. 12 kids, all dressed as elves, except for Oscar, who was Elvis." All right. So, what a fun thing. The crowd loved it. His family loved it. Obviously, Oscar loved it. And, Oscar did something that a lot of times we won't do. And so, sometimes when their mistakes happen, it's really easy to get angry or embarrassed or some kind of emotion that's negative. And maybe when there's a mistake made, we need to look another way. We need to look at how the mistake can be made into a message, how the mistake can be made into something positive. Because a lot of mistakes are just mistakes like this. I mean, these things happen. And we can get bent out of shape. We can get embarrassed to the point where we won't do things. And I'm speaking personal experience, because there are times in my life when there's been mistakes made and I didn't handle them very well. I'm a lot better at that, I think, today than I was when I was young. But things happen. Mistakes happen. And, we can turn it into a positive if we decide to. Now, I realize I'm not talking about all mistakes, okay? But a lot of mistakes are just mistakes, And I'll give you an example. Have you ever been in a restaurant and you got the wrong food, or you got a steak or a hamburger or something that was not nearly done the way it was asked? Maybe you wanted it rare and it was, came out burnt, or maybe you wanted it well done and it came out not well done. Now, you can take 3 courses to that. You can do nothing about it, which I think is the wrong message. You can get all bent out of shape, which I also think is the wrong message. Or you can be very polite and say, I really hate to bother you. You know what I mean. Be nice about it, and because mistakes happen, and we have an opportunity to change that. We can put a smile on somebody's face. We can make things better by our attitude toward a situation like that. Hi, Katie. Good morning. So with that, I just think that go out and be a blessing today. One of my favorite sayings is recently is the best way to get a blessing is to be a blessing. So you'll hear me say that over and over, because I think it's really true. And there's lots of things I could say right now, but I think it's important to be a positive role model in a negative world, and a lot of the world is negative. So with that, I'm going to sign off today. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. to hopefully brighten your day. We'll see how things are going today. I'm looking forward today. I'm still trying to decide exactly what I'm going to do today, because waking up with snow kind of may have adjusted what I'm going to do. But we'll see. With that, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Be blessed, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7:30. And for all of you who watch this afternoon, that's okay. You can come back tomorrow afternoon and watch it. Or better yet, be a morning warrior and watch it at 7:30 with us. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.